Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. I am sitting down with Libba'S from Ready to Love. Yes, season DC. It's already
Yes,
been crazy this season, and we get the honor of having you on our show. How you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's good to have you on here. And girl, you're looking spicy today. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. I tried to turn up on a Wednesday. It's hump
Never
day.
a problem. Never a problem. I appreciate you looking so, delectable on my show. It's good. It's good. We like it. I would
My mother
appreciate it.
taught me right. I have to be presentable, at
Mm,
all times. So
come on now. Come on now. I appreciate it. How's your week been anyway? It's been
it's
good?
been good. It's been a good week. I'm glad that it's halfway over. So no complaints. It's been a good week.
Yes.
Thank you.
Love that. Love that. Well, we like to kick off the show by doing some human verification. It's just a few questions to make sure that, you are who you say you are and you're not a hologram or a robot, because you just never know these days in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I always ask this question. Number one, we're going to ask you this: BMW, Audi, Mercedes, Lexus. Which would you choose?
I'm a Beamer girl. I've been driving Beamers for like the past 7 cars. So Beamer for life.
Okay. What color? What color is your Beamer?
Right now it's like a sapphire blue. Uh,
Oh. Mm.
it's a little sapphire blue,
Right.
but I've had a variety of different colors, but right now I'm cool like that. So I'm rocking some blue.
What made you choose sapphire blue?
Because it had the best price.
Hey, I feel you. That's real. That's
The
real. I
car I
like
wanted, I was like, okay, it's blue, it look good. I'll take it. Wrap it up.
that. I like that. That's real. I like that. And blue's my favorite color, so I'm with you on that one. So you're good. You're good. Okay. Second question on the list for human verification. I want to ask you this question: cereal or the milk in first?
Cereal and then the milk. And actually, I'm cereal, depending on the
Mm.
cereal, then sugar, then milk. And then
Oh,
put a little
okay.
bit more sugar on top.
Oh, okay. What cereal would you say is your favorite then, or your go-to?
Right now, it's Lucky Charms.
Okay. Mm.
Yeah, but
Does that need a lot of sugar?
I'll do Cheerios. I'll do, uh I love cereal, so I'll do Captain Crunch, tear up the roof of my mouth, but it's good, you know.
Everyone says this. Is it that bad, Captain Crunch?
Hell yeah. Yeah, it will tear the roof of your mouth up for days, but you'll still be tearing it up like this is good.
Captain Crunch, fix it, man. Go out here damaging people. Okay, I'm hearing you on that one. Hearing you. Final question on our human verification. I want to ask you this: you have a plate of rice, you have a plate of chicken, you also have some potato salad, some coleslaw on there, and you have some good old mama's mac and cheese on there. Which one do you eat first? Which one do you eat last?
Okay, so I'm going to taste the potato salad first. That's what I'm going to. I'm
Mm,
going to the potato salad. And then I'm going to have it right beside that chicken. So then
mm.
I'm going to like pull off the chicken and have a little bit of potato salad on my fork, work it that way.
I'm feeling it, and I'm getting the imagery as well. I
You
like
get
it.
that? Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Oh, what's your favorite restaurant?
I don't have a favorite restaurant.
Okay,
I'm not a foodie. I have like a little appetite.
okay.
So but I enjoy Italian food. I
Mm,
enjoy like, Southern cuisine, somewhere that I can be pretty, eat good, have a pretty drink, nice ambiance,
mm.
I'm not
So,
particular.
okay, so if I was to come to the US, which I mean, I might not. Where would we go?
Well, so if you came to the United States, if you came to
Hmm.
US, you want to know like where we're going to eat.
Mm.
Um, Here in DC, I would probably take you to Maestro's, and I don't even know if it's still open to be honest with you, but probably like a Maestro's, which is like a nice steakhouse. It's sexy, nice
Oh,
ambiance. You seem like
mm,
you are a meat and
I
potatoes
am.
kind of guy. Yeah, I can see that. So,
Mm,
so I would do something like that.
you know me well. You know me well. I like the taste. I hear you on that.
You
Good
like
there.
that?
I
Okay,
do
good.
like that. I'm a bit of, I like the meat. I like my
I can
steaks
tell
meat.
you probably like a nice little gravy, some sauce on there.
That's it.
I
You know what
know
I'm
you
saying? These
want like a little
arms,
roll to sop it up. I got it.
they need feeding. You know what I mean? These arms are not, they don't come cheap. You know what I mean?
I understand. I get
You
it.
get it. I
I
like it.
do.
I like it. Well, we've passed the human verification point. We've got past that. We know you're a human being and we love it. Okay. And we're here with this. I love this stuff. But we want to get to know you a bit better. Yeah. Because you
Okay.
see, we saw you on the show. All right. We saw you on the show. We saw you interacting with Frank and everything like that as well. Unfortunately, we saw you go home. But we want to get to know you a little bit better than just you on Ready to Love. Because you're so much more than that.
I
So, my
am.
first question to you is, who is Libba and what is your story?
So I Libba. I'm a divorced woman. I'm a mother. First of all, I'm a mother. I have a son who's in college.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a son in college, and I am just a sweet, beautiful spirit who loves life. I'm from the DC metropolitan area, born and raised, and
Okay.
I am actually a professor of marketing.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm a smart woman with a lot of
Come
debt.
on.
I got
Come
a
on.
lot of debt though. I ain't even gonna lie to you. That's why I'm
It
still a
come with the
professor.
territory.
You know what I mean? So highly educated, but still with lots of student loans.
Mm, don't
Um,
worry.
but I am just a woman I'm a divorcee. So I was married for about 20 years or so. Got
Wow.
married when I was 19. I'm a breast cancer survivor.
Wow.
Um, I've been through a lot of different health challenges throughout my life. And overall, I just think that I'm just a good woman, good person.
Love
So
that.
yeah, positive, simple, but still a little complicated.
Mm. No, I love that. I love that,
Yeah.
and I love the fact also as well that as you said, you've gone into also professorhood as well. I mean, tell us a bit about that because that's an impressive feat, to accomplish to that level. What made you go down that route to becoming a professor?
So quite frankly, I don't know if you see behind me, you see that's
Hmm.
Whitney Gilbert from A Different World.
Okay.
So growing up, I was obsessed with that show. It exposed me to HBCUs, and I always,
Mm,
although I thought that the students were dope, I thought that the professors were even doper. And I had always wanted to be a teacher. And so I was given an opportunity to work for Bowie State University
wow.
as a professor. It just happened to drop into my lap. And I've been teaching marketing there for about 4 years or so. And when I tell you, it is something that I deem as a blessing. I really love the opportunity to give back to my community, but also to afford these kids the opportunity to really embrace being Black and being
Mm,
prepared to be in corporate America and how to stand up when you're the only Black person in the room. Like, what are you going to do?
mm.
So I enjoy challenging my students, and that's just one of the biggest blessings that's in my life right about now. So.
Love that. How did you navigate that kind of minefield then? Because like you just described, as a black woman, going into that field and being educated to that level, what were the kind of challenges that you were kind of facing going through that?
So honestly, I was one of those people growing up who I never knew what I wanted to do or be. So if someone was like, Libba, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm like, I want to be a model, a fashion designer, a teacher, a lawyer. Like, I always wanted to be like 5 different things. And honestly, that's how I kind of navigated my career. Like, I just never knew what I wanted to do or wanted to be. But what happened with me was that I was in a marriage. I did not know what I wanted to do. Well, no, backtrack. I knew that I was not happy in my marriage, did not know how to get out of it, right? And so I prayed to God, like, I don't know what to do. Like, how am I going to get out of this marriage? And when I tell you, I woke up one morning and I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to school. If I go
Mm,
back to school, they give you like with working adults, they give you excess in terms of student loans. And that's exactly what I did. I went and got my first master's degree, and was able to afford my first place off of
wow.
student loans but it was an epiphany. Like that was the thing that had woke me up and said, Libba, you need to get further education. And doing that, I continue to be thirsty and hungry for knowledge, and I just continue going. So I have a master's degree in marketing, and then I also have an MBA. So I'm not a PhD just yet, but I am an adjunct professor at HBCU. So that's kind of how it happened. But I've always been in marketing. I've always been in sales, and I've always somehow, some way wanted to support people of color. So this has just been part of my journey.
I love that, man. And you know, marketing is, I mean, I'm more business, so I study business studies, not marketing.
Okay.
But you know, marketing was always one of those things that I understood it, but I didn't fully get it. When you meet someone who actually really understands marketing, it feels like a whole different world, because you know
Yeah.
there's a different language that goes with it, the different viewpoint about it. I wondered if you could shed a bit more light on that as well for us in terms of marketing.
In terms of marketing, well, I think for me, it's really what it comes down to is your ability to connect and engage with people. That's it. How do you reach a certain demographic? Like, how are you going to talk to, a young kid who is in, I don't know, Detroit, Michigan, and what does he want? Like, to me, that's what's so fascinating. Like, how can I reach Marcus in Detroit? To convince him of this is a good product for him, or this is a good service, or something like that. So to me, marketing is more about people and how to engage them and how to also learn from them. Social media has changed the landscape of marketing so much.
Trust me.
So I find that it's interesting that you say that you're not so much into marketing, but what you're doing essentially is you're reaching the people and you're marketing and branding yourself. So
Come on now.
you ain't even
Got a little free session there.
You know what I mean? You got it, brother. You got it. You know you had it. You doing it.
No, I appreciate it. And because I know we spoke a little bit beforehand, I know we're both we said we're both cancers as well. Guys, I'll say before anyone shoots me down with my Christianity, listen, I'm not saying that I believe in astrology, but I do understand there's some personality traits that come with each particular star. So we spoke about it, how us both being Cancer. Do you think that, not necessarily being Cancer, but do you think that you've always had that personable attitude? Is that why you potentially probably went into more marketing then? Has that always been a trait that you've always been open and
No.
No.
I used to be painfully shy.
What?
Yes, honey. I used to be painfully shy. I was the biggest introvert. And so, with introverts, the beauty of them is that you're very observant.
Okay,
you observe, you don't miss a beat. You may not speak on everything, but you observe everything. So for me, I was very painfully shy for years. I have a best friend who is this super extrovert who brought it out in me. Now I have some clowns, and I don't mean clowns like in a circus. Well, I have some fools in my family too, who are just some of the funniest people you'll ever meet in your life, right? So it's just also, growing up and growing into yourself. But I used to be painfully shy. So, and that's probably one of the reasons why I'm highly emotionally intelligent as well. Just growing up as that, but just growing into yourself. And, so I am an introvert that turned extrovert, but I still have some introvert tendencies. So.
All right, that's cool. I like what you segued into as well. Tell us a little bit about, obviously, Libba as a young girl, because obviously you just told us that you were an introvert, which I would have never guessed. I would have thought you were always an extrovert, but you're not. So tell us a little bit about your childhood, how you grew up, and what it was like. Hey.
Okay. So I actually, as a little girl, I had an imaginary friend.
Okay, come on.
So yeah, I used to, like, as a teenager, as a young adult, I used to be like, oh my God, was I crazy? But in retrospect, they talk about people who have, or kids with imaginary friends, and how they're highly intelligent. So, I'm a little smart.
Come on.
But growing up, I grew up in Fort Washington, Maryland, which is, at the time, and still is, kind of like middle income for working Black people, just good people, like not quite the Cosby Show, but more like Family Matters, a little mix in between, right? And you got some hood friends and family that's right down the street, right? So I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness.
Wow.
Let me tell you this story real quick.
Come on now.
If I can. So Okay. So I when I was about 5 or 6, we were not Jehovah's Witnesses. When I was about 6 or 7, I remember my last Christmas. My parents talked about us being a Jehovah's Witness, but I didn't know what that meant at that age until Christmas Eve. Where Christmas Eve, we noticed that there was no Christmas tree. My parents hadn't put up the lights or anything like that. So I have an older brother and an older sister. And we're like, well, last year they put up the tree a little late, so let's go look for the tree. So we're running around my house looking for trees, looking for Christmas gifts, nothing, right? The next morning is Christmas. We're like, oh, well, maybe, they're going to have the tree up for us. Well, we wake up, no tree. No Christmas gifts, no nothing. We're literally going all throughout the house, in the attic, in everything. At the time, my older brother and my sister and I, we didn't really get along all that well, but we're huddled up crying like Santa Claus doesn't love us. Yo, it was the worst Christmas ever. And then that started my isolation as a Jehovah's Witness. It was tough. It was very, very tough because Jehovah's Witnesses, they can't pledge allegiance to the flag. Here in America, that's what you do every school morning before. So I've always been deemed as that weird girl who can't participate in birthday parties or Halloween parties or Christmas parties and things like that. So I was Jehovah's Witness from probably 2nd grade up until like senior year in high school. So, but what that taught me, 2 things. One is that I became really close to God. I developed a great relationship with God. I understood the Bible, but also it taught me resilience. And it also taught me I didn't have to fit in with other people. Like I dealt with adversity at a very young age. And so a lot of things that most people are accustomed to and, feeling the need to belong, I never really had that because I didn't belong, So yeah, that's my quest as a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not a practicing Jehovah's Witness. I have a lot of respect for that religion, but that's just not something that is for me. And I don't necessarily agree with all the different, some of the things that they believe in. So
I understand. That makes a lot of sense. Did that also contribute then towards your introvertedness then as well? Or was that just something that was always there?
Yeah, I was always an introvert. That was prior to, but it certainly made me feel like a weirdo. Like I was so different. Like, it added to me feeling like, I'm just this odd man out. And that's been like pretty much the story. I'm very unique. I recognize that I'm a little eclectic. Yeah, but I like it now. There's no complaints.
Yeah, here it's a USP out here.
Grow into it, honey. I had to grow into it.
USP, you know what I'm saying? Unique selling point. I'm hearing that. And then you mentioned also as well, like that you and your siblings didn't have as much as a great relationship. I was wondering if you can give us a little bit of insight into that and how you handled that growing up then, because obviously, like I said, already you've got becoming Jehovah's Witness, you're already introverted, like I said, it's almost like you've got your imaginary friend too as well. And then obviously the siblings relationship. I mean, tell us a little bit about that insight into that and how you were handling that kind of those relationships there.
Yeah, so I'm the youngest.
Okay.
So my brother's about 7.5 years older than I am, and then my sister is almost like 3.5, about 3.5 years older. So we're just so different. It's not that we didn't really get along all that well. We just weren't that close. My brother, I'm playing with Barbies, and my brother is like going to prom. You know what I mean? So that ability, and then my sister, again, almost 4 years is just a vast difference. So it's almost as if we grew up as 3 only children in the same household. But I was fortunate though, because I had my best friend and I have been best friends since she was 3 and I was 4.
Wow.
She's one house down from me. And so she is very much my sister. We've been friends. I mean, I'm 45, so we've been friends for well over 40. Thank you. Thank you. So we've been best friends for well over 40 years now. So when I say that is my sister, like she's going to be listed in my obituary and everything. Like we already know. We're not going to play that.
I hear that still. And as the Bible says, it's better a friend that is close than a brother that is far. So yes.
Yeah. No, that's my heart. She is my heart. She's one of the people who encouraged me to even apply for the show. She was the first person to tell me about it. She's like, girl, this is for you right here. So
I'm with you on that. And I love the fact that as well that you have a friend that you've had for such a long time. I think there's not many people that even have that kind of friendship for that long. Do you know what I mean? So that's a blessing in itself.
It
To have a friend
is.
that long.
It is, and her parents are my second set of parents. Like, it was just a beautiful relationship. Like, I really feel like, they talk about soul brothers and sisters. Like, that is I feel like she was sent for me. That we were destined to be friends and sisters. So.
Love that. Okay, and then so you said obviously you were the last born as well. Were you getting special privileges as the last born? Parents sometimes make the last born get all the special privileges.
Well, let me say this. I wasn't spoiled. I was smart. So I learned how to negotiate. I was one of those, being an introvert, I observed everything. Okay. So I would watch my brother, my sister. Sometimes they were bad as hell. So they would, be getting in trouble. And I'm like, oop, that won't be me. So I learned how to work my parents. Being the youngest, you also recognize that your parents are tired at a certain point. So like I would negotiate with my parents. I've always been an old soul and I've always wanted to please my parents. And so with that, it may appear as if I were favored. But I still call my mother and be like, hey, Brenda, this is your favorite child. So I do the same thing with my father too now. Whether or not that's the truth, I don't know. But that just helps me feel better about myself. So, yeah. But my brother and my sister and I, we're all so different. And they would probably think that I was somewhat spoiled, but not really, because I always did well in school. I always had a job. I was never any problems. I was a goody two shoe. So, yeah.
Who would you say you take most characteristics from, mom or dad?
Both. So my father I grew up watching him working hard, working double overtime, hustling, doing whatever he needed to do to be a great support to his family. My father is very straight up. He is an alpha male. He's the most macho man that you'll ever meet. I used to watch him study for different tests and things like that. And I think that I have a lot of my father's work ethic, and I have a lot of his gangster too, right?
Come on now.
Listen, now my mother is the most sweetest, beautiful person in all of the world. Just beautiful. She has this radiant presence about her, and people are drawn and gravitate towards her. Very sweet. She used to do she worked in corporate America for a little bit, but we used to have chore charts. She would she would have chore charts for us. She organized our house like it was a business. My mother is one of my very best friends. So I speak with her every day. We have the best relationship. So I have a lot of her sweetness and her fire as well. So it shows up in different ways. And I started looking like my mother. The older I get, the more I look like her. So, and my mother is bad. So I look forward to that.
Come on now, mama.
She got it going on. She got it going on.
Can your daddy fight? I'm just saying, can your dad fight? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, his nickname used to be Mad Dog. So
all right, I'm gonna leave that alone then.
And he's a Vietnam vet.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
But they're no longer together. So you can push up on
hit on mama.
You can push up on Brim, but she pushed back. You gotta be ready. You gotta be
ready, yeah? Well, I'm ready, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll get myself paired up in here. No, I love that. I love that. I mean, obviously for yourself, obviously, then, growing up, like I said, obviously, we all take different characteristics from our mom and our dad. And I always like to ask this question: what is one piece of advice, let me say, for yourself, that your mom gave you that has stuck with you until now?
That I'm enough. That's it. Libba, you don't need nothing more, nothing less, sweetheart. You are enough. You don't have to prove anything to anybody about who you are, because you are. It's it. So, yeah.
Where does that piece of advice come from then?
I think, again, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness and just being the odd man out, and, I had a lot of feelings of inadequacy growing up, and some of it bled into adulthood, where I'm an overachiever. I'm a goody goody. Like I keep going. And I think that at some point she probably recognized, like, Lib, why are you pushing so hard, girl? And I would be very hard on myself. And so she recognized that, like, all right, Libba, you are enough, honey. You don't have to prove that you're super duper smart. It's already proven, so just her wisdom. My mom is just a very wise person and very patient and kind. And I think that is something that I aspire to be. I'm a lot more patient than I think I am, but sometimes
Push to the
sometimes
edge.
I'm
not. Don't push me now.
Okay, play if you want
to. At your own risk, I hear you. You spoke quite candidly about saying, obviously, that you're a bit of an overachiever. That you try very hard, to achieve the best that you can. And then you said, obviously, about the feelings of inadequacy as well. Did any of that show up in? I say, because obviously you've been married for 20 years. So, I mean, did any of that show up in your marriage then? Did you ever feel those kind of feelings in your marriage as well?
Absolutely. I certainly did. I think that, so I got married when I was 19. I was
still
a baby.
Young, innit?
I was still a baby, but however, I still had my head on straight, even at 19. So yeah, I was 19, but at 20 or almost 21, I owned my first home.
Wow.
So I've always been ambitious and I've always had, vision. But unfortunately, what happens is that you do look for someone else to fill you in certain areas, and you don't even know that you're deficient, right? Like sometimes, especially to be in 19, 20, 21, you don't know that you are deficient in certain areas. But I think that in my marriage, unfortunately, at some point we started sleeping in separate bedrooms. Like he made a bad habit of sleeping on a couch, and then we're sleeping in separate bedrooms, which ended up being months and long periods of time. And I never understood why he didn't want to come back, or that he had such a bad habit of sleeping, in the separate bedroom, which fed into my inadequacy.
Yes. Oh, man.
It fed into me thinking, like, I'm just not good enough. Like, why is he not coming in here? Like, what am I doing wrong? I blamed myself in a lot of ways. And, I tried to take control of the situation. But what you learn is that you have no control over somebody else's actions. No matter how much you want to make the situation better, if they're not willing to put in the effort, then you have to realize that maybe this is not the person that I need to be with. But I certainly had feelings of inadequacy. The other thing is I'm a people pleaser. And so I will go all the way out, honey, off the field.
I'm with you.
Like, damn it, the game is over. You all the way over there, girl. Like, come back. I'm gone, right? So I would do a lot to ensure that other person was filled. Meanwhile, I'm depleting. I'm losing it. I'm losing myself. This happy-go-lucky spirit was not as happy-go-lucky, and again, it had me questioning, like, my existence within that marriage. I went through a lot of growth, in retrospect, but when you're going through that, it does not feel good at all,
Man, that's some real deep stuff there that you've just shared as well with us. And it got me thinking as well, just to even kind of maybe understand. I mean, did you ever get an answer as to why he then slept in the other beds? Because that's quite a very difficult thing to go through, and it's a painful thing to go through.
Yeah, I would imagine in retrospect, I think it's a few things. I don't know if you've ever procrastinated or if you've ever done something that you weren't supposed to do, and then you keep doing it. You don't want to apologize, like you just fall into this habit. I think that's one thing. But I would also say depression played a role that neither one of us knew. Especially as young people and Black people, we don't talk about depression, especially back then. You know what I mean? But I certainly, in retrospect, I can see that there was some depression there and some sadness. And even as a young woman, I didn't know what to do with someone who is unhappy or who is depressed. Didn't know what that meant, especially if you're primarily an optimist. Like, what? And even back then, oftentimes therapy was not a discussion. It was more about, like, you better call on Jesus, and there was some judgment, I believe that there was some judgment on my part. And I think that once you feel, in my situation, once I felt like I was not respected or valued as much, after a while, it's like, well, shit, excuse me.
You're
Like,
good.
you know, like, why am I going to go all out for you? You can't even come upstairs and go to sleep. You know what I mean? So it was some of that there too.
Um, how did the recovery process go then? After, obviously, if because going through a breakup is one thing, but going through a divorce is another. I mean, how did you manage to recover, recuperate, and regather yourself as well?
It took a while. So let me just say this, especially for people who are in marriages, or you see how I'm leaning in. Um,
I got you.
but it takes a lot of courage for a mother, or to be in a marriage, to say, I don't think I can be here. I stayed a lot longer
You
than I
should have.
should have. And the reason is that I was concerned about my son.
Mm.
I sacrificed that for my son, because here I had this beautiful, smart, sweet, healthy boy, and I did not want to damage my son in that way.
Mm.
So it took me a while. I knew that I needed to develop a plan, and like an exit plan,
Yeah, we
to
can't. Yeah.
say, here's what I need to do. So I did a lot of research in terms of custody, in terms of, breaking the news to your child, and, how to have somewhat of treatment, when you leave a marriage. Like, I did all of that. I did, trying to find a place. I was doing everything for everybody else. I wasn't necessarily looking for Libba. I was like, yo, once I'm out, I'm gonna be good, right?
Mm.
But I was certainly thinking more about my son in the process. It takes a lot of courage, and
It does.
it takes you to be extremely brave to make the decision to choose yourself first, and to make yourself a priority, especially when you are married with children. So it took me a while to get to that point. And I'm glad that I did. It was one of the best things that I could have ever done. And once I was free, and I had a lot of
Mm.
fun when I was free.
Hey, come on now.
I had a lot
Hmm.
of fun, but
Come on.
in every way imaginable. So it was great for me to have that sense of freedom, to be able to do
Mm.
whatever I wanted to do. I didn't need permission. I didn't have to walk on eggshells. I didn't have to do any of that. It was just like I was living for myself. I was living for my son.
Mm.
But it took a while for that to happen. It wasn't easy, and my son, when we broke the news to him, because he was the person who identified, like, mommy, why are you and daddy sleeping in separate bedrooms?
Mm.
And when he asked me that question, I didn't have an answer for him. I was like, go ask your father. But in my mind, I said, yeah, this is not going to work, because what I don't want for my son to do is to grow up thinking that this is,
No.
Lucy and Ricky, and we sleeping in separate bedrooms. Like, this is not a good example of what love is.
Mm.
And so that motivated me to say, Lib, it's time, girl, you gotta do something about
Yeah.
this, and so he took it like a champ. And I remember him telling us, like, I knew it was going to happen. I just thought it was going to happen when you were older, when I was older. I mean, so
Mm.
it was a tough time, very,
Yeah.
very tough time.
That's difficult. And I commend your transparency here, because it's never easy to talk about some of those past events and relive it. So we
Yeah.
appreciate that for that.
Well, of course, I think that there are a lot of women and a lot of men who can relate to that.
Mm.
There are a lot of people who are stuck in situations, and they're more concerned about that man, who don't really care as much about them as they care, that they don't care about them, but they're more concerned about someone else than understanding that it's necessary for you to do what you need to do to make yourself happy. And I'm not necessarily saying to leave, but you have to learn to make yourself a priority and do what you need to do so that you can have a fulfilling life.
Mm. Do you think, like, as you said, obviously you stayed longer than you felt like you should have? Do you think part of that was also because your parents also kind of split as well? Maybe you were trying to, like I said, you want to try hard, you want to be an overachiever. Maybe that was part of it as well. That you wanted to be able to try and rectify what you saw when you was when you saw with your parents?
Of course. I mean, I don't know too many people who get married with the intention on getting a divorce.
Trust me.
Okay.
Come on.
So for me, it was like I wanted to give my all. I didn't want to have any regrets in which I was thinking, like, all right, I gave up on my marriage. No, it took some time. And then being a young person, you don't know how to get a divorce. You may not have the finances. You don't know about lawyers and property and splitting it up. Like you just don't know. And sometimes you get in a whirlwind of living. So it's like you want to leave, but then you think about leaving, then somebody quit their job. Like now's not the time, So it's a combination of things. But I know that my mother has sacrificed because my parents got divorced when we became adults.
Okay.
But I know that she had sacrificed a lot for her kids because, again, she didn't really believe in the notion of being divorced either. But I was fortunate to grow up with both of my parents, through the good times and the bad times.
Man, that's not easy. And I mean, it's like you said, a lot of people can relate to this, and a lot of people can understand where you're coming from, and it takes great strength to do what you've done.
Thank you.
And you've done it with grace and class. You're still looking fabulous as you're doing it. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. So then obviously, we okay. So you left that marriage. You've obviously divorce happened. You've gone into singlehood. You started dating and stuff like that. What makes you then kind of go into Ready to Love? What prompted that happening for you then?
So I was actually after my divorce, I ended up like in a 5-year relationship that didn't work out. And I always enjoyed watching the show Ready to Love. I was like, yo, if they ever come to DC and I'm single, I will definitely be applying. So I really love the thought process of here you have these successful Black people. At the time, it was like 35 to like 50, who are doing well for themselves, who are all in search of love. And I was like, I love that. I love being from the DC metropolitan area. I grew up in Prince George's County. I feel like I'm a good representation of this area. And I was really interested in finding my match. And knowing that they would have to go through psychological tests and they do background checks. And I'm like, well, shoot, they're going to pick the creme de la creme.
Come on.
I need to be a part of that, So I was hoping that maybe 1 out of the 10 men would be for me. I thought my odds would be better, but it wasn't. So, but my experience was so dope. Like the interviewing process, what I've mentioned is that I was completely myself, just like I'm talking to you right now. I was completely myself, and I was accepted as I was. I've never been on a job interview where I can accidentally curse or just be cracking jokes or whatever else. So it was like a beautiful experience for me. And what it taught me was that people, they do love me for who I am. Sometimes we get in corporate America, you sit up straight, wear glasses to your nose tip or whatever, but like the tip of your nose, you know what I'm saying? But like, I was just completely myself. And so my experience was lovely. Like it really, really was. I know it sounds kind of really optimistic, but even to be the first woman eliminated, I wear that with pride. And the reason is that it took me so much to get there.
Come on.
And so it's like you pray to God and you just ask for his guidance, and you have to accept whatever comes your way. Like acceptance is a beautiful thing, So I knew when I got there, probably, and I know I'm kind of jumping, but within an hour, I knew my man was not there. I knew it. So I was like, okay, you see what you see on TV because of editing, and it's literally, we were at the mixer for about 13 hours, if not more. And you see all that condensed down into 46 minutes. So sometimes they chop and screw it, they do whatever, but the bottom line is that they own all that footage. And we have to understand that. So whatever they do with that footage is whatever they do with it, and we can't really complain about it. So
So you said obviously as well that as soon as you got there, you knew within an hour or so that your man, your person wasn't there. What I mean, well, one, how did you know that? And two, is it because you were looking for certain qualities in a particular mate that you didn't see?
Everything, all the above. So I am 45. At the time, I was 44 going on 45. The majority of the men there are early 30s, like maybe
True.
30. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, you can't be. That's a long gap.
33. So the majority, so the men were about 33 to about 46, but there are only like 3 men who are in their 40s. The majority of the men there have either never been married, don't have kids, or a combination thereof. Okay. My son is in college. And what I'm not going to do is, get hemmed up with some 33-year-old who wants a family, and that's not something that I can provide them. And also, I had a hysterectomy, so even if I wanted to have babies, I can't. So that was one thing. But the other thing is that I hit it off usually with people immediately. Like I have this thing, and
Same.
I can see, I can tell that's why you're interviewing me.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel that way. I didn't have any kind of instant connections with anyone. It was kind of like I heard crickets, the men are dope. Like we have some good men on there, but I just didn't feel a connection with anyone there. I did detect there's some players over here. So there is some men who need to do some work. There are some men who are just not my type, so essentially the odds were against me, and I knew it, and I was okay with it. It was like, Libba, you gave this thing a try, girl, because I really did consider self-elimination.
Wow.
I was like, well, first I had to rationalize that, like, you can't be the first one to self-eliminate, and all these thousands of people were trying to audition,
It's true though.
But I was thinking like, yo, I didn't want to be on camera faking it. Like I'm interested into some guy and I'm not, I have this big personality. So like if I'm in somebody's face and seeming like I'm interested, it's going to come across as fake.
Yeah.
And that's almost kind of what you saw with me and Frank. Like that scene was just me, Aisha, and Frank just talking casually. Like we weren't talking about, hardly anything. We were just sitting on the couch ready to like go to the bathroom or whatever. So so the conversation was about tattoos, whatever. I was hesitant to even talk about, my tattoos on some of the places, but they're like, no, where do you have it? So you heard some of that hesitancy, but it wasn't like I was all in Frank's face and like, hey, Frank, like I wasn't into him, but again, all I'm saying is that my personality, me being bubbly and things of that nature, it can be a little overbearing for someone who is not interested. And so I kind of like, I'm smart enough to pull back and be like, I'm not giving all of me tonight. Like,
No, I totally get that. If the crowd is not really appeasing, and it's not fit to be able to make the correct moves, there's no point doing it. Do you know what I mean? Because like you said, you're just gonna end up being fake, and also as well, it just puts you in scenarios that you don't really need to be in. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, and I knew it. I mean, and again, I think that there were a couple of men that, like, for instance, Walter, he's 46. He's a good looking man, but I knew that he didn't have kids. Well, and I've been told that the majority of the men on the cast wanted kids. So it was like, he's good looking. This is called ready to love, not ready to play. You know what I'm saying? If I wanted to play around or whatever else, there were plenty of men and plenty of options out there. But I really do feel like that the women there were better suited for the men that were there. Yeah. And I feel like being one of the older women, I didn't have many choices. Again, my son is in college. I'm looking for someone who, if they have older children or something like that, I'm cool. I'll be a dope ass bonus mom. I already know that. But it's like, I'm at a different point in my life. I'm at the point where people want to be like, the kids are out the house. Now we're going to travel. Now we're going to do this. Now we can do whatever we want to do, so I'm not pushing a baby carriage at 45, 46. No, that won't be me. I mean, I may not look my age, but the fact is that I am 45, you know.
Keep it real now. Keep it real.
Okay.
Keep it real. No, no, that makes a lot of sense. In terms of your particular journey as well. I mean, for you, when you got there, who would you say was your first attraction? Who was the first person that you felt attracted to, or you saw that was, a good-looking man? I know you mentioned Walter.
Yeah, I would say so. The first person that caught my eye was definitely Walter, but he was literally the first man that was there that I saw. Like, he was the first one in my eyesight. But I thought that he was attractive. Corey actually presents well, so he does have like a different energy. Like, who is this guy? Right. So he was really sweet to me. Like, a lot of the things that I did were off camera. That's the other reason why I'm not on there, because a lot of stuff, the conversations, they were off camera. But for instance, it was hot, middle of July. He pushed chairs around. He was like, let's get you in the shade, so we had like a nice conversation. He's sweet like that. Dante, still a very nice, well-groomed brother. He's a vegan. So I was like, well, I can't make you smothered pork chops. So,
I mean, I ain't gonna say no. So I hear what you're saying. Don't take miss out, but I ain't. So
So, and my ex-husband was like a vegetarian. So like for quite a few years, I was fixing my meal, my son's meal, and his meal. So I was like, I ain't trying to go down that road again. I would, but not off firsthand. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then I would say, I mean, all the men are attractive, though. All of them are attractive in their own right. And I'm not saying that because, they're ugly. Like, no, they all have good things going on for themselves. But again, I didn't have like instant chemistry. Or, even the conversations. What I found was that they talked a lot about themselves. So I'm sitting there like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, barely asking me any questions. And so there's certain things that you learn as an adult, and especially in dating, if they're interested, they'll ask you questions. They didn't ask me any questions. Okay, cool. Well, then I wasn't going to force myself on these men. Now, we also have a lot of aggressive women that are part of the crew. I mean, the cast.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? So like, they're going to go out and they're going to get theirs. And for me, I'm like, I ain't rushing to go over there and talk to that man that I don't want in the first damn place. So
I get you. It's a difficult situation, and
you know what I'm saying? I don't want him. I ain't rushing over there. Let me eat this old stale bread. Like,
did they feed you correctly this time, guys? Did they give you some food this time?
Let me tell you something. We were outside in the backyard of this mansion. It had rained the night before, so it was all sticky and muddy in the back. And what they did was they had like a nice little spread for us. It's in the woods. They did not cover it. So it was this nice, beautiful spread filled with flies all over the daggone place. I said, what kind of mess? You want me to eat this damn lamb chop, with some special sauce on here? I don't want this. No. No.
RTL, do better, man. Every year the food is the same thing, man. Same problem every year. It's not up to scratch, guys. Every season we have a problem.
Yeah, I mean, they tried, but I think the flies enjoyed it. They weren't complaining.
Hopefully next year they'll build upon this. They didn't have food for season 3, season 4 they got food. No, hopefully next season.
No, I'm gonna say I hope that they invest in more makeup artists and stylists and stuff like that. Let's get that over there. Like,
the stylists first.
Some food, but like, let's get them some more makeup artists, because the women, we had to do, like, even for the mixer. Yep, it was low budget in that way. We had to do our own makeup. That's why I look so awful the first damn episode. Yes, I don't know how to do makeup for camera. Like, I can do it for this, but not for camera.
Yeah, professional camera. That's pretty weird, actually, because
you're gonna be on camera. On top of that, it was COVID. So it's like we weren't allowed to have now I'm finding out I could have maybe hired a makeup artist if they signed like some release form or something. But because of COVID, we were very much restricted in terms of, being in the house, we had to stay quarantined for 2 weeks, yeah, it's a lot that people don't understand. They just thinking that, oh, she should have did this, she should have did that. Oh yeah, well, what you gonna do when you can't get a makeup artist or somebody to do your hair and you don't know how to do makeup or hair? What you gonna do, girl?
It's true. Damn. So you guys you were quarantined for 2 weeks as well. How did you find that?
To quarantine for 2 weeks?
Yeah. How did you find that process?
Well, I loved it because that's what we've been doing anyhow for COVID and for my job. It was like, all right, then I'll stay in the house. It wasn't too foreign because that's what I've been pretty much doing anyway. But it's harder when you want to get your lashes done, you want to get your hair did, you know. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit
Details.
harder. Yeah. So, but and even we were told that in between shooting, you would still have to remain in the house, so that you wouldn't develop COVID. And then we would take COVID tests just about every week.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a safe environment, thank God. But yeah.
Damn, man, the makeup thing is a serious thing because even me, just being on as an extra on set for film sets of late, if you're close up to the camera, you have people come and touch you up and make sure that you're looking good. You know what I'm saying? Little dizzle dazzle here, draping, make sure your dresses are correct and everything like that. So, that is such an important thing as well because of, again, it talks about presentability. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of doing someone a bit dirty here. It's going out to national TV and not bringing in, makeup artists and stuff. It's kind of disheartening and kind of a bit cheeky. You know what I mean?
Well, and I will say this, that they offered makeup artists for interviews, you know what I mean? Like touch-ups. But that first mixer, like, no, we had to come up in there, in the middle of July when it's 95 degrees outside. It's just, it was unfortunate. So yeah. So I would say use some of that budget, to ensure that the women are straight that first round, because that's also a reflection of the show too. Like how people look,
Yes, absolutely true. Absolutely 100% true. Okay, so being on the obviously the show, like you said, obviously, you didn't really find your one there. When obviously they called out your name, say obviously someone was going home. Did you think you were going home? When they said someone was going home, did you think you were going home?
I had a feeling. I had a feeling because you want to hear what's interesting. Let me give you a little bit of tea. Let me give you a little tea. So, there is no direction in terms of like when you're on set, you're on set. So you don't know when the men are deliberating or when they're not. But Frank had came to me after deliberation and he was like, hey, Libba, I just wanted to come over and talk to you for a second. You have like this beautiful energy about yourself. And I just want to know, is it real? Are you always this positive? And I was like, well, I don't know about always, but I am positive. And he said, your name has been mentioned quite a few times. And I've realized that although you were one of the first faces I saw, I didn't spend that much time with you. And I was like, you heard my name quite a few times. I said, hopefully that's a good thing. He never answered. He never confirmed or denied. So I was like, okay, noted. That's a bad thing.
Yeah. Sorry to say, I mean,
yikes, right? So then we were late at night, we were going to go into the mansion and I see Cornelius kept looking at me. I'm like, why the hell he kept looking at me? Like, how you look at somebody like you checking on them? You all right? You okay? Like he kept looking at me like, and then when how you look back at somebody when they looking at you, they be like,
what?
Like I was me? Who? I wasn't looking at you. I was looking over there. Whatever. So I kind of felt it then, but they kept asking me who I was interested in. Now I'm a decisive person.
Come on now.
I had nothing. I was like, well, I don't know. I didn't have an answer because I wasn't interested in anybody and I didn't want to say nobody. I ain't interested in none of them. I didn't want to say that, but that's what I was thinking. That's what was playing in my head. So I was like, I mean, he's kind of cute and but I didn't have an answer. And so with that, I also understood that, Lib, you can't not have an answer. Everybody's claiming, I want Frank, I want him, I want that. I wasn't claiming any of them. So so that's why it wasn't a surprise. But I know that my exit seemed dramatic, but let me just tell you this. So Tommy, what he did was he paused for a very long time, twice. So he was like, and so the men have deliberated and they said, Libba and Tasia, you are not ready to love, right? But when I was like, oh, it's because I held my breath for like 3 minutes, waiting for this man to say, Libba. So that's when I was like, oh, like that's when you heard that.
So you were pretty much going along with his dramatic pause. You were going along with it.
I was. Okay. I didn't know I could hold my breath that long. I was quite impressed with myself. But yeah, that's what that was.
I totally get it. So obviously, then they obviously then sent you home. Did you have any conversations on your way out? Then I know they show you walking out, but did you guys have any conversations on the way out? Did any guys come up to you and be like,
Man, no. It was the women. It was the women who were like, just really sweet. Like all of them were shocked. And so they all hugged me like, sis, it's going to be okay. And, so I had a nice conversation with Sabrina and she was like, something about God's timing. I was like, God's timing is perfect timing. I didn't question anything. I kind of joked and was like, y'all need a do-over, but I knew they didn't need to do nothing else over. It was a wrap. So, but here's the beautiful thing is that I've really developed some really close friendships with a lot of the women on that show. And so I'm grateful to have forged good newfound friendships. The men, like we all hang out, we do stuff together, and it's just a beautiful dynamic for the most part, so that's why I can't trip, because I put myself out there. It didn't necessarily work in what I would have thought was my favor, but it really, really did. It really, really did. Because, honey, let me tell you something. I dodged some bullets. I dodged Wild Wild West. I dodged Compton. I dodged Chicago, DC. I dodged the Matrix. I was like I dodged a lot. It's about to get ugly. It's about to get toxic. It's a whole lot of stuff that is forthcoming that I did not need to be a part of. So this little bubbly, shiny light, it didn't need to be there.
I hear that. Did you clock on to Corey then and his behavior then at the time? Because I know you said he presents well, but did you clock on to his shenanigans?
Ooh, let me tell you. So I was sitting there. Remember the scene where
he's talking to the ladies?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was sitting there. So I was on the right of like Carrie. I was right behind her. And with the copy and paste thing. So like they were like, Corey, how many women did you ask out? So then Shiloh comes and they're like, Shiloh, did Corey ask you out? And she was like, yeah, he asked me out. He asked me to go to such and such. And he said that I had great energy. And when she said that, we were like, oh, like, come on, Corey. So meanwhile, he's upset. He's stuttering in a corner. He's trying to get his words together, stammering and upset. He's visibly upset because his spot was just blown up, So I felt bad for the brother because you could tell that he was like physically bothered, and it's like, sometimes you got to sit on, you over here playing games. You got to deal with it. You got to eat it, But eventually he had apologized. And so I guess the women were willing to forgive him. But here's the thing. Corey put himself out there. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't mad at the brother for like showing interest. He already trying to get ahead of the game. Meanwhile, I got 0 numbers. I didn't ask one man for a number. I didn't ask him for his Instagram account. I didn't ask anything like that. So therefore, Corey was there. I wasn't, so I can't blame the brother for trying, but he certainly needs to finesse his game a bit.
I said the same thing. His game needs tightening.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
weak, but he
it's a
stands
little
on
bit.
it, honey. He is the king of copy and paste. He says it, he loves it.
Lives it.
Okay, Corey, he thinks it works for him for online methods, but he doesn't recognize that he's doing that same kind of tactics in person,
Person.
But I think that he's a good person. He means well. And I said it before, but God bless Corey. God bless him. Little pink thing.
Who would you say was your most interesting conversation in the mixer then?
My most interest in the mixer or after the mixer? So in the mixer, I had more conversations that were interesting with women than I did with men. Okay. But
A week.
I did. I ain't gonna lie to you. I had better conversations with the women than I did with the men. Remember, they were all talking. It wasn't a conversation. But I will say, let me back up. I had a really good conversation with Carrington. Like he was the one person that and I had a nice conversation with just about all of them. But Tyrone, we had a decent conversation. He had actually mentioned at the mixer that he had PTSD then. So it was known. I'm sorry. It was known right away. So I had a really good conversation with Tyrone, with Carrington, interesting conversation with Lamont. But I had more good conversations with women than I did with men. And then after, when we were going upstairs for deliberation, there was a pause. We were probably waiting for about good 30 minutes. And I had was standing beside Walter, who is super duper funny. So we had a great conversation, just laughing and talking all kinds of shit. But that was after the fact, So yeah.
Man. Okay, I'm hearing you loud and clear. The ladies were more on point than the man them were, which we're kind of seen anyway during the course of the show. So I can't doubt what you're saying there at all, because we're seeing the fruits of what you're saying on the show each and every week, to be honest. It's quite a shame actually, because it's meant to be ready to love, but every season the men don't seem to be ready to love. I'm not saying the women are perfect or anything like that, but it seems like every season there's more men in the seasons who are not ready to settle down. It's as if they've come here for the opportunity, they've grasped the opportunity, and then kind of go about their business. It doesn't ever seem to be people are there for genuine love in terms of the men. I'm not saying all the women are also there, honestly, but
Well, and
majority
I'm
of men.
not going to say that's fully the case here. I mean, I do think that a lot of the men on this show want kids. Some of them are a little long in the tooth. Wait, they waited later in life to have their babies, but so they do have the desire to end up procreate, have kids. Marriage is also on their radar. So I'm not going to say that that's not their intention. Now, there are people who could benefit from this show for whatever ways. I'm actually not one of those people. Like, I'm a professor, honey. I'm not selling nothing. I don't have no book coming out. I don't have no video coming out. I don't nothing. I'm literally looking for my forever, or want him to find me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there are people like that on the show as well, but I'm definitely one. I don't have anything, and even if I did, if someone wants to take advantage of any opportunities to come their way, I say, do your thing. There's no shame in that. Do what you need to do. You were afforded this platform, so go for it.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yep, I'm with you. Okay, so if you were a producer of Ready to Love, if you were involved in production, what's the one thing that you would change about the show?
Damn, you're trying to set a sister up. I would say organization. It needs some more. It needs a bit more of organization. Wait, hold on. You sipping? Let me.
Let's sip to that.
Organization.
Organization of the people, organization of the show, organization of the actual event of the show, how it runs. What would you say?
All of it.
Yeah.
Would I go on the show again, Mimi?
Mm-hmm. Go for it. Would you go on the show again?
I honestly felt like if they had men my age in my range and where they and the lifestyle that I'm living at this point, I think that I would consider it. Knowing how to navigate it a bit more. But honey, I'm good either way. I don't have to do this again. My experience was dope. Um, there are people who cannot say the same. And what I also notice is that there is a level of anxiety people actually do develop watching this show, watching it back. You
Yeah.
hear me? We don't know what the hell is about to be aired. So even with me watching the first episode, I was like, they have me running around like some little bippity boppity boo, like this woman who is not of substance, who's saying all these inappropriate things.
It did look like that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and it's like, here I talked about the fact that I'm a breast cancer survivor. Here I talked about my marriage. I talked about some heavy issues, all of which are on the cutting room floor. Okay. And again, not mad at it because I gave them permission. I signed off saying that they own all the materials.
But still,
you know what I mean? So it's just that I kind of wish that they would portray people where you can really learn about them and understand their stories fully and not paint a picture based off of what someone else said, you know. So they painted a picture of me that I was too bubbly based off of feedback that Frank had provided, right? Now, Frank would not have known that they were going to, you know, edit it based off of that, but there lies their story, you know what I mean? So, but getting back to the fact that people are nervous every week, we don't know what's going to be portrayed on television. Yeah, you know that you've lived a certain thing or certain life or
but
did certain things. You just don't know how they're going to piece that together, what they're going to take away, what they're going to add something that you said referring to someone else and apply it to a different person. Like you just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and then obviously, to be honest, even I mean, to be honest, obviously your bubbly personality, you know, as I have one or two, it's not for everybody. So you know, and it wasn't a negative what he actually said. So the show in all fairness, didn't really necessarily paint you in a bad light, apart from the fact that they didn't really show any depth. They just kind of showed you being bubbly.
Yeah, they just showed like I wasn't of substance. But let me tell you something. I would much rather be eliminated for being too bubbly and light and chipper than some of the stuff that's about to come on TV. Let me tell you. Now you're welcome to invite me back.
Oh, we will.
At any given moment, if you're like, Libba, girl, what's up? Like, you know, I'll give you what I can. But
the right time and right season, we're gonna reach a cracking.
Listen, we can come back to this because when I tell you I was not meant to be in some of the things that are about to come up, I was not meant to be there. And what you see right here is favor. God knew.
Favor and flavor. Come on.
Hello.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I ain't stop flirting. I ain't be professional. Sorry. Yes. Okay. No, I'm with you. And you're right. This season has got a lot of stuff wrapped in it. You know,
have no idea.
I have no idea. Do you know? It's mad because this also was similar to what they said last season. Like it gets bubbly. There are things that are happening, and they don't show everything, obviously. So there are things that are happening underneath the surface that we don't get to all see. And if this is again this season again, the same thing's happening again. You know, yeah.
No, it's about to be on and popping. It's gonna be some stuff you ain't never seen on Oprah's network ever.
Oh, the Kraken, baby, the Kraken.
It's about to be released.
Volcano eruptions.
Yeah, I didn't need Medusa. I was gone. You know, we don't need Medusa. Listen.
Were you aware that there was going to be someone asked a really good question? Were you aware that Sean and Sydney were going to come on?
No, but I will say this. I like Sean. Like, he's
Yeah,
a
he's
cool
good sound.
guy, like even more in person. And honestly, if Sean was at my mixer, I would have been interested in him. And that would have been one person that I'd be like, you know what? Because we have fast chemistry. Is like our conversation. He's funny, highly intelligent. I love Sapios, so like really good guy. Not everybody gets his sense of humor, just like me, but had he been at the mixer, I would have been interested in Sean for sure.
I'm with you
Yeah,
on that. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
even though he doesn't have kids, but he also has talked about, obviously on the show, he's torn,
Yeah.
so he can do one way or the other. And now I kind of feel like I got what it takes for him to sway one way over the other.
I'm gonna take you to the other side. You don't even think about that life. Yeah. When you're with me, you'll realize you don't need any of that. I got it for you. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? We can get us a puppy. We can get you a big dog. I'll take a little dog. What you need? But he's a really good guy. So I think that had Sean been at the mixer, like, I needed more of that. I don't like, for the younger people who are dope. Again, it's just that it was better. It was women who were better suited for them than me. Yeah.
Now, someone's asked a really good question here. Without blowing anything out, we don't want to express everything. Someone asks, how did you catch wind of what's going to happen, or what was happening later on? How did you catch wind? Were there still birds that were still tweeting, or was this through eyewitness testimonies?
Y'all not gonna set me up like that. I'm not.
That's what I'm saying. Was it birds tweeting? We don't have to say names. Was it birds tweeting?
I mean, let's just say this. I know what I know. Y'all gonna have to take my damn word for it. I ain't telling you that. Believe me.
Oh, glad we believe you. Okay, we got you. All right, cool. Last question in this segment. So for you, is there anything you would do differently going on the show if you were to go on the show again? And two, were there any regrets? Let's do number one. Was there anything that you would do differently?
Yes, my hair. They tore me all the way the hell up. You hear me? They tore me up. And I understand why. Let me say this, and I said this in another interview. I am a natural sister who cannot do hair. Okay, we had these COVID restrictions. And so, like, I thought I was going to do the wet and wavy. Like, all right, girl, I need a wash and go. Let me tell you something. That damn weave was busted. I knew it. It was too late. I can't even do hair. What the hell I'm going to do? Yeah, I'm trying to do my edges, but then she had my edges back here. So, like, how can I fix that? So, a natural sister who can't do hair in the middle of a summertime in July in DC. Awful. I know it. I stay fly, y'all. And I ain't even brushing them out, but I stay fly. So, but me looking at myself on TV, I was like, oh God, no. No, Libba, no. So the answer is the same. Would I change anything? Yes, my hair. Do I regret anything? My hair. And I would have snuck and got my hair did again. And then also I would have hired a makeup artist. I'd be like, yo, we gonna have, girl, you better not say nothing. You took your COVID test. Like, I would have did it a little bit differently. But other than that, no. Because those men weren't meant for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely hearing you. Well, I mean, we like to support our honorable guests who come on the show. So I was wondering if you have anything that you would want us to support, any great projects coming out at the moment, anything you want to signpost here, or that we could support, let us know.
So honestly, I'm still waiting on my forever. So like, if there's someone that you feel that is appropriate for me, that might be a good fit for Libb, shoot them my way. Like, I'm on Libba Nation on Instagram and also TikTok. I have a lot of fun with TikTok, but I do. My name is Libba Nation on TikTok, and also I'm not really doing much on YouTube, but so just support me in that way. Keep a sister lifted. y'all, if someone is interested in me, or if you know a good fit or something like that, shoot them my way. But let's make sure that they come correct. Don't come with no I don't want no pictures or nothing. I don't want any weirdo vibes. I want a man of integrity who loves God, who is ambitious, who has a great sense of humor, who is honorable, who will treat me well. Like that's what I really am looking and hoping for. I'm looking for that next person, in my life. Now, I ain't saying I'm like Cinderella and this is all a fairy tale. I get that, but I certainly am. I'm a good catch. I'm a good spouse, a good girlfriend, and I'm looking for my match. So.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, man, them who are sensible, please. Men that are sensible, please enter
Thank
the
you.
DMs. Okay, please enter the DMs. Men that are sensible, if you haven't got anything going for you, please sit down and gather some funds. Okay.
Yeah, and please know that I'm gonna let you know. So if you come in, I'm gonna let you know.
You gonna dress them up and down?
Don't do it.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna just pop in just to see what it's saying.
You
just
gonna
to see
pop in?
Gonna pop in just to see. Make sure everything's good and kosher on that side. Yeah.
Listen, you got my information.
We're gonna be sipping together. Okay.
We're gonna be sipping. You ready? Let's sip.
Yes, that's it.
It's good.
It's good. Well, Libba, you have been a light and a sunshine and rays. I froze there for a second, but you've been light, sunshine, and rays on this particular show. I can see the comments here. Everyone's loving you.
I love y'all too. I didn't get to read, but thank you all.
All positive comments. They love your energy. Yeah, man, they just love your energy. They love your infectious energy. And we spoke about this obviously when we were talking about this. That natural affinity that you have, where you can just click with somebody. It's rare to find, but when you do find it, it's nice to be around that warmth. So we appreciate you, and we honor you. Do you know who you remind me of?
Who?
Do you know the actor KJ? Is it KJ Smith? Oh, my camera just went off there for a sec. Sorry. Yeah, KJ Smith. She's on BET Sisters.
I don't know her, but I'm gonna look her up.
I'll show it to you later on, innit? Yeah, remind me of her. The same kind of look, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man.
She might be my cousin. You never know. We all related.
Trust me. Trust me. You never know. Well, audience members, it's been great. It's been amazing. I've enjoyed the conversation. It's flowed like water. Okay, so continue to sip your water, stay hydrated out there, and make sure you guys leave a comment below this live, like it, share, subscribe. And the men who are out there that are sensible, that are worthy and stable, please enter the DMs. The rest of you, if you don't have that stability, go and find it first before entering that place. You're going to dress you up and down. I don't want that embarrassment for you, okay?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, I got you. All right, audience, like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell button, and we will see you very, very soon once again for another sit down with LBB. Appreciate you guys. Little Blacks, you know what